You see these cars? One of mankind's greatest inventions. I love them, you love them, everybody loves them. Some might say they can't live without them. They're great, but for each one of them, they emit high amounts of carbon emissions, or more specifically, carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And saying that they stay up there for a while is just a huge understatement. This is based on Chapter 1 of Bill Gates' How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. So, to start it off, 10,000 years. Do you realize how long that is? To put that into perspective, this right here only took 1,000 years. Times this by 10. That's the amount of time carbon dioxide will stay in the atmosphere. Why does that need to be known? Well, that's because it's a greenhouse gas, just like water vapor. Sounds harmless, right? Well, it's not. Too much water vapor in the atmosphere can eventually cause hurricanes and storms. And if you think that's bad, when CO2 or worse, methane, a compound that has a shorter time span but is highly more potent, is sent into the atmosphere, they trap heat, which is sent straight back down to us, heating up the Earth. This is a little thing we like to call global warming. In reality, ever since pre-industrial times, the average temperature has only gone up by 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. So now you might think, oh, that's not so much. But it is so much. Think about it like this. In the time of the Ice Age, the average temperature was about 7.8 degrees Celsius, 6 degrees lower than what it is today, about 14 degrees Celsius. That's reasonable. But apparently, the Cretaceous period was about 16 degrees to 17.8 degrees Celsius. Yep. So that means if the average temperature rises by only 2 degrees more, we'd be experiencing the same climate as dinosaurs. It makes sense. Throughout the years, we can already see what just a few changes in the atmosphere can do to the coral, forests, wildlife, and habitats. So what now? How can we fix this? Realistically speaking, we can't, as of now. Even if we were to stop all carbon emissions, we'd never see an instant change. But what we can do is slow it down. Here's a graph from Chapter 1. It's the estimated average temperature for the following decades. If we keep the rate of carbon emissions as we are right now, we'll be following this bold line. And wow, those generations are not gonna be too happy about that.
Don't worry, buddy. You're doing fine. I won't let you blow this. What kind of place is this?
If we cut back on our emissions than we are now, we'll largely curve the slope, slowing down the rise. And this last one would be most difficult, reaching near net zero or negative, removing more carbon than we could emit. Majority of removing that carbon includes other sources of power, such as hydropower, wind power, or solar power. Even clouds help with the situation. Well, sort of. High clouds have a higher chance of trapping more heat onto the Earth than reflecting heat, and low clouds do the opposite, cooling the surface of the Earth. So yeah, you see these cars? Is it really something we can't live without? Because at this rate, if the majority can't live without these, the future generations will be living without this. Or, we could do something so that future generations don't need to suffer.